Now, let me come
but
to
nonetheless, Senator Obama may endorse the idea of offshore drilling.
No, he doesn't personally, but if it takes a compromise to get America together, he's going to have to compromise.
He really hasn't endorsed.
Well, anybody's going to have. He's not, he doesn't believe that that's the right course for America. He believes alternative energy is. But let me come back to Iraq. On the surge, Joe and John McCain have both alleged that the surge created the Anbar Awakening. It did not. The Anbar Awakening began in 2005. In 2006, one of the local leaders in a tribe in Anbar province, a fellow named Abin al-Sattar al-Rashiwi, put together some 32 sheikhs who came together. They organized what was called the Anbar Salvation Council. They then went out and took on Al-Qaeda. And our military personnel adjusted with that at the time. The fact is that the Ramadi construction conference took place, and the administration didn't get a troop in there till after they'd made the political decision to become involved with the Americans. The surge added to that. If you add American troops to the equation, American troops can always provide some
Many
additional
people believe
security.
it wouldn't have been possible for it to be as successful as it was without the surge.
It would not have been. It simply would not have been.
But what's
John,
the
in
precondition?
saying this, I know you don't intend this, but in saying this,
finish.
you're showing disrespect for the contribution and service and sacrifice of the American soldiers.
No, you just cut me off when I was saying our soldiers did an extraordinary job.
The awakening would not have gone forward without the strength and support that Colonel McFarland, the Army, the Marines gave them.
Which I was in the middle of saying.
That's what the sheikhs told us. That's why the sheikhs don't want our troops to come home on a fixed timetable today. They want us to stay.
Well, the Prime Minister of Iraq believes we ought to set a timetable. The President, Mr. Talabani, thinks we ought to set a timetable. I've heard countless numbers of Iraqis say we'd be better off with a timetable. In fact, I met with the governor of Anbar province and all of the sheikhs who said to me they're very comfortable to have a timetable, providing it, obviously, is one that works in the context
providing
of their
it's based on conditions on the ground. That's the big difference. Maliki and Obama are not on the same page on this.
I have the small, fleeting feeling we're not going to resolve that here this morning. So let's, if we can move on to the parlor game.
We should all agree that the surge worked, and I don't know why John Kerry and Barack Obama just can't say that. And
on the contrary, I said the surge made additions, but it wasn't the cause of the awakening. It was a political decision. And here's this is critical. Joe just said that judgment is what is critical here.
Yeah.
Well, John McCain was wrong about Iraq. He was wrong about why we ought to go there. He bought into a whole liberation theology about the Middle East with Paul Wolfowitz and others. It's wrong. He was wrong about oil paying for the war. He was wrong about our being greeted as liberation heroes. He's been wrong about Afghanistan not being a center of activity against us. He said no one threatens us in Afghanistan.
Well, John McCain was right about the surge, and he had the guts to go up against President Bush, Secretary Rumsfeld, and public opinion in America because he didn't want America to lose in Iraq and Al-Qaeda in Iran too. And Senator Obama took the opposite position, wasn't concerned about losing in Iraq. Today, we're in a much better position there because of the guts of John McCain, and that shows you what kind of president each will be. One
Can
has
we talk
experience.
Politics for a moment?
We're having such a good time talking issues.
I know. Well, we have to understand what the cause, the surge was designed to give the Iraqis the opportunity to make the political decisions so that we could resolve the fundamental difference between Sunni, Shia, the Constitution, etc. That hasn't happened, Tom.
Yes, it has. They're reconciled.
It's much closer as a result.
I'm sure they
there
are.
are certain steps that have been taken, but the oil law isn't passed, the election law isn't passed.
John, you know they've passed 15 or 16 of the 18 benchmarks we gave them. This has been an extraordinary success. If you leave it to Obama as president and he pulls out on a fixed timetable without regard to conditions on the ground, I'm afraid there's going to be chaos again. And he has already said if there's chaos again in Iraq, he'll send the troops back in. John McCain brings American troops home from Iraq. They're staying home. That's the man I want as president.
People who are looking in on this who don't pay a lot of attention to politics may find it hard to believe that you sit on the same side of the aisle.
Yeah,
and that you're in the
we're
caucus.
friends.
Is he going to be welcome in the Democratic caucus next year? Sure. If there's a President
I think he's going to want to be part of the stronger Democratic majority. I'm confident of that.
Well, can we show you a Joe Lieberman website that he may not be welcoming?
Yeah.
There's a website out there in which they say, get rid of Joe, Lieberman must go. More than 50,000 signatures have been signed so far. Do you think you're going to be comfortable next year in the Democratic caucus as a self-described independent Democrat?
Well, look, I've crossed party lines to support John McCain because this is not an ordinary time in our history. It's not an ordinary election. And I just felt, more than following the party line, I had to go with the guy that I thought would best serve this country, and that's John McCain.
So are you going to speak as a Republican?
That decision, I'm going to let the future of politics take care of itself. I feel very good about what I've done. Am I going to speak at the convention? It's not, that decision hasn't been made. If Senator McCain feels that I can help his candidacy, which I think it's so important to elect him our next president, I will do it. But I assure you this, Tom, I'm not going to go to that convention, the Republican convention, and spend my time attacking Barack Obama. I'm going to go there really talking about why I support John McCain and why I hope a lot of other independents and Democrats will do that. And frankly, I'm going to go to a partisan convention and tell them, if I go, why it's so important that we start to act like Americans and not as partisan mudslingers here in Washington.
Sounds like you're going to go.
Well, we'll see.
Sounds like that to me, too.
Senator Lieberman, Senator Kerry, thanks very much for being with us today.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you. We'll continue this conversation throughout the course of the next several months. Okay.